I live in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered by the Minneapolis Police Department and sparked a global uprising and racial reckoning. For many people, because of the gruesome way George was murdered by the police on camera, was their introduction to finding out just how racist and racially violent some of the institutions are in Minnesota, let alone the United States. And for many of us who already knew this racial violence was taking place, it was our introduction to just how many people were actively avoiding the truth of racism and disparity in the United States. Before George Floyd, the names of Terrence Franklin, Jamar Clark, and Philando Castile echoed in the streets, yet never brought any institutional or societal change to fruition for a government, carceral system, and institution of law enforcement that continued to go on business as usual, with media remaining a mouthpiece for the very cops doing the killing and dinner tables going quiet to not disturb the meal until those very spaces were forced to recognize injustices going on right in front of them after seeing the public lynching of George Floyd. The question was, how was a system with decades of racially violent practices, devoid of humanity, able to operate with everyone watching in plain sight? One of those answers we found out here in Minnesota was because of the silence. The less you talk about a problem or simply mute any discussion of it at all or shame people for addressing the issue, the more fertile the ground is for it to metastasize and be normalized. As a black man in the United States, I've known racial violence since I was a child, yet for many people, their professed introduction was on May 25th, 2020. From that experience alone, I've come to know injustice thrives in silence. So to watch what was happening in Israel, I was driven to read and research some more to deliver 5 informational videos with the hopes to give you more context to what is happening in Israel historically, because the more we learn about history and the truth of it, the more empowered we become as people. And in the 5 videos I made that are fairly docile in presentation, I found more gatekeeping and defensiveness in the comments and DMs than I have really received in any other topic that I've presented about. And in researching the history of Israel, Palestine, Al-Aqsa, Al-Nakba, all the way down to Theodore Herzl, there seems to be a fair amount of stories, voices, and humanity that has been muted in the very conversations we may all benefit from having with one another. And in the muting of that information, a conversation about Palestine and Israel has bordered from stigmatized to off limits, regardless of where you stand. I challenge everyone to read up just a little more than a little bit on the history that's led up to now regarding Gaza and Israel. And I guarantee you will be able to destigmatize the topic, which will help everyone around you. Because I know from the centuries of racism in the United States, the one way for a society to maintain it is to not talk about it. So my challenge to you is to talk about it. Good luck.